Welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast with your host, Helen Fritsch. Helen is a 60-plus, lifelong competitive athlete, flight attendant, published fitness model, writer, IFBB bodybuilding pro, and certified wine specialist who believes that your age is irrelevant to pursue goals, dreams, and desires. Are you a woman in her 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who still has a burning desire to pursue a dream or a passion? Are you thinking about starting a new chapter in your life, but you're hesitant, thinking that you might be too old or just don't know where to begin? The Age is Irrelevant podcast is a podcast devoted to women who want to defy the odds, smash barriers, and redefine happiness and success after 40. It's time to make a difference. There is no need to dread blowing out that added birthday candle every year. A new movement is slowly taking momentum, where being over the hill just isn't relevant anymore. Age labels are being thrown out the window, and women are rediscovering the strength within themselves to make a difference, not only within their own lives, but also touching and inspiring the lives of other women. Join Helen as she and her guests discuss all aspects of aging after 40 and how to make the aging process and those twilight years more rewarding, exciting, and fun.
Hello, and welcome to the Age is Irrelevant podcast. I'm your host, Helen Fritsch, and this is episode number 82. Well, it's been a quick minute since my last podcast, and I do apologize for that. I took a little sabbatical in December due to my work schedule and the holidays, but then a sinus and ear infection decided to take residence, and that lasted for quite some time. So I decided finally it's time to jump back on the bandwagon, and I couldn't be more excited to introduce you to my next guest. It's Yolanda Holder. She is 64 years young, and Yolanda is a professional ultramarathon walker. She started her walking journey at the age of 50, and since then she's accomplished 2 Guinness Book World Records. She is the oldest woman to earn a U.S. race walking centurion by racing 100 miles in under 24 hours. She is the world champion pedestrian of the longest certified foot race in the world, 3,100-mile race, finishing in 51 days, 17 hours, and 13 seconds. She has over 550 marathons under her belt. She is a wife, a mother, a grandmother, an inspirational speaker, an author, and very, very inspiring and very, very motivating. It's truly an honor to have her on the show. She is truly an ages irrelevant woman. She's that kind of woman that you could go out to have a cup of coffee with, grab some lunch or happy hour, or even take a little walk. Hope you enjoy this interview. Here we go. Hello, Yolanda. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so thrilled to have you. For my listeners, I am talking to 64 years young Yolanda Holder. Now, she's a professional ultramarathon walker, 2-time Guinness World Book record holder. In 2019, she became the oldest person to earn a U.S. race walk centurion, 94, by race walking 100 miles in under 24 hours. Girl, that's unbelievable. You are also the world and American record holder at the 35K race walk, American 6-day race champion, 413 miles. Oh my gosh. Also the world champion pedestrian of the longest certified foot race in the world. You're a wife, a mom with 2 adult children, a grandmother, an inspirational speaker, and an author. And I'm thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So I always like to start off with my guests from the very beginning. So let's talk about where you were born and your childhood. You can talk about your siblings, if you were athletic as a child, if your family was, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, I was born in the San Francisco Bay Area in San Mateo. I'm one of 11.
Wow.
My mom had 11 children. And actually, my dad had 11 too, but you don't add them together. They each had 3. I always have to say that. My mom had 3 kids and my dad had 3 kids. And when they married, and had me and 7 more. So it's a very interesting family. Because my dad's 3 did not live with us. They lived in Oakland and Berkeley area. And then my mom's 3, only 1 lived with me. The other 2 lived with my grandmother. So it became a little complicated because I was actually the oldest, but not the oldest.
Right.
On both sides of the family. So it was kind of interesting growing up, but I was never an athlete. I did do African dance. I grew up in the Bay Area with a group called the Imani Dancers. And I believe I was about between the age of 9 and 12. We were the only African dance group in the area, and we danced all over the San Francisco Bay Area. So that was really fun. And in high school, I was on the dance team, and I also qualified for, I tried out for the gymnastics team, but I didn't follow through with it. I kind of wanted to be with the other cool girls or whatever. But as far as being an athlete, never was an athlete. And got married and had 2 wonderful kids, and been basically a stay-at-home mom. And I did my first marathon at age 40. I picked the Portland Marathon because they're walker friendly. And so that was my first at age 40. And between 40 and 50, I think I only did about 12 marathons. What happens when back then you did 1 marathon and then you talked about it for the next 6 months. Just totally bragged about it. It was interesting because I was a walker, not a runner. I have never been a runner. And like I said, I did a lot of 5Ks, 10Ks, and I never race walked either. And there's a difference between power walking and race walking. Race walking is in the Olympics, and it's a judged event. You have judges on the course making sure your form is correct and that you're not lifting, which is running, and that your knee is straight. You always have to have 1 foot in contact with the ground at all times. Power walking, again, you're not running, but there's no judge there to judge your form. So you're basically just doing your own style of power walking. And so I did that. And so when my 50th birthday was coming up, my sister, who's passed away, Cookie, a couple of years ago, for her 50th birthday, she went on a 7-day cruise. I have a friend named Jackie. For her 50th birthday, she bought a Harley. And then a friend of a friend, what she did for her 50th birthday is that she wanted to be like Diana Ross. So she threw this elaborate party where she changed clothes into gowns at least 5-6 times. And so that was her thing. I want the world to see me. You know, I'm 50 and I'm gorgeous. And so when my 50th came up, I said, wow, what are you going to do? Everybody's doing something fantastic and something different. So I decided to do 50 marathons in 50 weeks. So that was my thing. And so I didn't accomplish that. I ended up doing 66 marathons in 50 weeks and then went on. And I hit my 50th in October in San Jose. At that time, there was a race marathon called the Silicon Valley Marathon. And so that was in October. So I went on and did, I believe, about 16, 17 more by the end of my 50th birthday. And so from there, I basically have never stopped. Here, I'm actually, this year, I'm celebrating 15 years of marathons and beyond.
That's just absolutely incredible. So let's backtrack a little bit. And what got you into, wanting to compete or race walk to begin with? You said you obviously that you weren't a runner and you weren't an athlete, but something had to trigger you and you wanted to, start something.
Okay, during I started competing the last about 4 years ago. and that was race walking. And but all the other marathons, I've done over 550 marathons and ultras, and I know it's amazing. I still sometimes look back and can't believe it. But I was a marathon finisher. The goal was to finish in the allotted time, like the Los Angeles Marathon, New York Marathon. A lot of the larger marathons, they will give you over 7 hours to finish, or even 7. But some of the smaller city marathons, you had basically 6 hours to finish. And so my goal at that time was just to get that medal. And today they have fantastic medals. But even then, my collection is just amazing. Yeah. And so it was all about just finishing. And then us in the back of the pack, we had more fun. And so back in 2008, when I started doing the marathons, and mainly that first year of doing the 50 marathons in 50 weeks, I joined this club called the Marathon Maniacs. And their goal was just to have fun and finish the marathon and have fun. And so that's how I got the name Walking Diva, because back then they didn't have running skirts. So I would wear a tennis skirt. I would get my hair done, put a little makeup on, and wear my designer sunglasses. I made it fun, and it was a little challenging, blisters and sore legs. But I figured back then the marathons were like $65 to $75. Now they're over $200. But I felt like this: if you're going to pay this money and be out there for 5 hours or longer, and you're going to get up at 2:00 in the morning to get there, to be at the start, why not look good doing it? Why not have fun? Mm-hmm. And now everybody wears skirts and dresses up, and it's just amazing to me that I'm not saying that I was the one who started all of this, but I did make it fun.
Right.
And now I have lots of followers, and it's just, but that's my motto, smile. All my pictures, I'm smiling, because it's like, have fun. And then at the beginning, I would get things like, well, you're not a runner, you're just a walker. Anybody can finish a marathon. Anybody can walk a marathon.
Not really.
Not really. No, it's hard.
It is hard.
That's kind of how I got my start, was just basically having fun and chasing medals. That's what we were doing. We were traveling all over the country, just basically chasing that medal. And then it's a nice high. I mean, and again, it's about feeling good about yourself, looking good. And I didn't have any role models at all. No one in my family played sports, or the women in my family, including my mom, no one worked out. That wasn't just the thing. That was the environment that I was around, that just women didn't really take care of themselves that way. And another thing that I started doing, I was not embarrassed to turn 40. When I turned 40, I told the world that I'm 40.
Amen, sister. Same here. 40, 50, 60, 65.
Yeah. 65 is coming up, officially senior. And I've had so many people in my family, especially one of my half older sisters. When I turned 40, she's, I think, 8 or 9 years older than me. And she said, we're now in the same group. You don't not tell your age. I ended up winning a fitness contest from that magazine is gone now, but it was called Fit Magazine. And I won their competition, one of the 10 fittest women in the United States. And so I made my local newspaper and I sent it to her because it said 40-year-old woman. But now women are now saying their age. Back then it was, you don't tell your age. You don't talk about menopause. You don't do any of that. Mm-hmm. And I do the whole opposite of that.
No, I agree. I agree 1,000%. I've always had a great outlook on aging and turning 40, 50, 60, 65, mm-hmm. having parties, traveling, mm-hmm. kind of the same thing. Wanting to do something special, for each birthday. I think it's awesome that you weren't, athletic at all. And then instead of going on a fabulous trip or buying a new wardrobe or a new purse or something for your 50th, that you decided that you wanted to, do 50 marathons in 50 weeks. That's something that I think most women wouldn't consider, especially if they're not athletic.
Yeah, I just now call myself an athlete because, like, again, 4 years ago is when I decided to compete. One of my really good friends, he's retired now, but he was a professional race walker, and he said, "Yolanda, you're not going to get any acknowledgement for any of the things that you've done. Yes, those races are U.S. track and field, but you have to race walk. Race walk is in the, and I didn't even know race walk was part of track and field and was in the Olympics." And so he said, race walk, you have to switch over. You have to become a race walker so that one day you can be acknowledged for what you're doing, through U.S. track and field. And so it took me 3 tries to finish the 50K. I'm the first African-American woman to finish a 50K race walk. I was 2 minutes off from the American record and 3 minutes off from the world record. And now the U.S. track and field doesn't have the 50K anymore for men or women. So now we have the 35K. But it took me 3 years to get that form down and to be able to finish a 50K, which is, in case anyone doesn't know, that's 31 miles, and it's more than a marathon. And so race walking, they say, it's the most brutal sport in the Olympics. It's a 50. Now they changed it to 35K. And so last year I did the 35K. I set because there was nobody in our age group that has ever done a 35K. And so I hold the world and the American for that. And I'm looking forward to next year. The 35K is always held in San Diego, and it's an national race. And it's going to be the Olympics trials. And I get to race with Olympians. How cool is that?
That is super cool, especially at our age. I mean, who would think that a 64 or 65-year-old woman would be out there race walking with, women 40 years junior to them. So yes.
Yes, it's amazing.
It is amazing. How did you, when you first started considering race walking or power walking, did you reach out and try to find a coach to help you with your form or help you with your training? Or did you ask around? I mean, back then it's nothing like today where you can just Google something and have all these workouts just pop up or jump onto YouTube. How did you go about, training in the beginning?
In the beginning, there's 2 books that were out at that time. Jeff Galloway, he had his run walk system. And so I had got his book. And then there was also Dave McGovern, who I just did a commercial with. We're in the State Farm commercial with Chris Paul. Yeah,
I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah, it's the NBA, and if any NBA game, it plays 2 or 3 times, and it's the State Farm. And then Chris Paul is the athlete, and he actually asked for a race walk, professional race walkers. And so I'm a friend of Dave's, and so Dave is a 5-time Olympian, and so they got in touch with Dave, and then Dave got in touch with me and 4 other race walkers. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, I have Dave's book from way back, and then he just put out another book last year, and I'm actually in his book for the ultra marathon walkers. And so I just kind of read the books, and then I knew I couldn't really race walk, or I didn't want to race walk. And I just figured, okay, I'll just power walk. And so I pretty much just walked my neighborhood. And then from there, my very first 5K was the Revron Women's Walk. I don't think they have it anymore, but that was my very first 5K. And it was held in UCLA on the campus. And so it was a 5K. The excitement, the expo, everything about that, I said, I love this. Just absolutely. I feel empowered. I feel amazing. Yeah, it's only a 5K, 3 miles, but I love this. I love how everybody's happy, the women. I felt good. I loved it. And from there, I started doing more 5Ks, 10Ks. And then my very first half marathon was in Carlsbad. It was actually called the San Diego Marathon. And I did that very first half. And again, just the people, the atmosphere, getting up early, going to it, laying your clothes out at night, what you're going to wear. It just felt good. I absolutely, I just kind of got hooked. And I really, preparing for it to me was more of a high than actually doing the race. That was like, oh, okay, I'm here right now, get it done. But I just really enjoyed it. And like I said, I haven't added up all the 5 and 10Ks and half marathons, but just the marathons and beyond, I'm way over 550. It just became my life.
Right.
And so when I did the 50 and 50, the next year I ended up doing 77, and that was in 2009. So I got in touch with Guinness and to see if there was a record, a Guinness World Record for the most marathons in a calendar year. And so they came back, and it was a lady over in Italy. She did 100 marathons in 2002. So I set out to break her record, and I used the book, The Secret. Remember The Secret?
I do.
I read The Secret, and I followed the steps. I did my vision board, and I put that on there, and I traveled all over the U.S. In 2010. I hit 101 marathons. I used the Las Vegas Marathon. Back then it was, I don't know for sure if it turned into the Rock and Roll Las Vegas Marathon. I can't really remember. But they host me, which was kind of nice too. And so I broke her record there. And then I went on to do 5 more. And I broke, I did 106 marathons in Florida. 2012, 2011. That was in 2010, at the end of 2010. So in 2011, I got a lot of static from runners. I got a lot of hate on Facebook and emails. Anybody can do 100 marathons. Anybody can do that. You're nobody. And it really bothered me.
Wow.
I mean, I got more good things, but sometimes you tend to look at the bad. The bad kind of lingers around. And so in 2012, my son, he's married now, but his ex-girlfriend, I was in the room and she just came in and she said, "Miss Holder, wear your crown. You've done something that no one's done. Wear your crown. Be happy. Be who you are." And that was in March of 2012. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to break my own record. And not only am I going to just break my own record, I'm going to say in your face, here's 3 hard 100 miles. But Guinness, they didn't care if you went beyond 26.2 miles. So if you did a 100-miler, it was still 1 marathon. If you did a 50K, 1 marathon. You did 50 miles, 1 marathon. So I did 3 100 marathons. And one of them is what a Western State, if you know anything about Western State, 100-miler, that's our Super Bowl. It's now lottery. It's really hard to get in. But I even did a Western State qualifier. And so anyway, I ended up doing 120 marathon ultras and broke my own record and said, okay, to all you runners and all of you haters out there, here in your face, let's see you do this. And that's what I did. And So then in 2014, my friend, the same one that told me to start race walking, he said, I want you to come to Alaska and do this 6-day race. I said, 6-day race? What the heck is that? What do you do? I was just like, and it took him a month to convince me. I signed up for it. I flew to Alaska. It was in the dome. They don't have the dome. They had a really big storm came in and the dome was gone, but it was inside half, 1/4 of a meter track around inside this dome. And I did 400 miles. I got 3rd place and 10th overall. I could not believe it. And as of last couple of weeks ago, I was in Arizona and I did across the years. I didn't do 400. I still hold that record, but I did got 2nd place and 7th overall. But that was my 9th 6-day race.
Wow. I live in Scottsdale.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was in Phoenix. Wow. I just, but when I look back, or even just today, I just like to say this. The human body is amazing. You can, whatever you set your mind to do, you can do it. It's basically mental, 80% mental, 20% physical. And I have overcome some emotional and mental things in my life. And if I didn't have the strength and the courage to continue on with my walking, I would not be able to do. And if it came easy, I wouldn't do it. You know, it's always a challenge with me to do things. And I had to let go of a lot of people in my life because what I do is not normal to them. If they just don't understand, how can she do this? How can she have a family and do this? Well, I think it's a gift that God has given me at this age. No, I'm not in my 20s, and I'm not trying to compete with a 20-year-old. I'm not trying to go to the Olympics, but there's Senior Olympics and there is the Masters. Mm-hmm. And that's where I am. And I just started calling myself an athlete. And I say it proudly. I'm a Masters athlete. I'm a senior athlete.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I started competing in bodybuilding shows at age 56. And I won a big national show on my 60th birthday. And I turned pro. And I'm 65 now and I'm still competing. So if somebody were to tell me back in my 20s that I'd be 65 years old, parading around in a thong bikini and heels on a stage in front of 500 strangers, doing a front pose and then turning around and showing him my butt, I would laugh and go, there's no way. There's no way.
I understand. I did my first bikini fitness competition at 59, and it was amazing. And the funny thing is, I never ever wore a bikini. I always wore a one piece and then put a little skirt thing across my. And you're right, to get up there and turn around and squeeze your glutes and show your buns in this little thong. My husband did not like it, but he got it afterwards. He was like, "Oh my God!" And I placed third in one of the classes and got fifth in the other one, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just like you were saying earlier, the body is an amazing piece of machinery. And when I first started competing, I was not very naive, and I decided, I had someone talk me into doing a show that was in a month. Well, we all know now that you can't get ready for a show in a month, but I didn't know. But I saw such a great transformation of my body in just a month that after I did this show, and it was a 35 plus category bikini, and I was 56, and I blindly get up there like a deer in the headlights going, oh my God. Anyway, I placed third too. And I thought, I kind of like this, and I like the regimen. I'm a goal-oriented person. And I thought, I'm going to continue. And I ended up doing a big national show, my very next show, and I came in third in that. So just slowly for the next 4 years, I just kept doing shows, maybe 2 or 3 a year, and kept placing in the top 5. And then finally, bingo. I mean, it was like all the stars aligned. And on my 60th birthday, I won this big national show and turned pro. So it's been super fun, and it's a great way to stay in shape. But there's so many options out there, I think, for women our age. I think that you don't have to bodybuild. You don't have to be, you don't have to swim if you don't want to swim. There are things like walking that is so beneficial. I mean, the big thing now, get your 10,000 steps, a day in. And that's really, if you think about it, not really that difficult to do. You can, with everything that you're doing throughout the day, even with your errands and doing things at home, and plus, getting outside and walking for a half hour, 45 minutes, that's very, very, very doable. And a lot of people, you were 50 and you started off doing this, and you have to start off slowly. I think a lot of women don't complete their fitness journey because they take on too much, and then they get frustrated or they get sore, and they're not seeing the results that they think they should be seeing in a short amount of time. So, for you to jump right in and start your journey, I applaud you for that, because a lot of people would be discouraged thinking, oh my gosh, even myself thinking, I ran track in high school and college, and I ran one half marathon. I came in second, and I hated every single freaking minute of it. I hated it. I hated it. I was a long distance runner, but I was like, okay, this is too long for me. And so one and done for me. But what's your, as far as training for a show? I mean, you're doing so many shows. You probably don't really, do you actually, train in between shows?
Well, I want to kind of say.
I mean, I'm sorry, not shows, meets.
No, I know what you mean.
Races,
my races. But back to walking is the easiest way to get healthy and fit. I have a Facebook page called Extreme Walk for Diabetes, and because I lost both my parents to type 2 diabetes. And I tell people, they all ask, they say, you look like a runner. How come you don't run? And I said, because I'm lazy. I don't like running. Walking is easy. And the good thing about walking is it will lead to running. It will lead to riding your bike, because once you get going, that little competitive side in you starts to come out, and you're like, oh, okay, I could do more. And then, but I really don't want to just walk. Maybe I'll ride my bike, or maybe I will run, or maybe I'll swim, take an aerobics class. It leads to you wanting more. And then, like you said earlier, with the fitness competitions, that transformation, that little bit of losing 5 pounds, or those jeans that you couldn't get into, all of a sudden you get into them. It will lead to you wanting, to do better with your health and your wellness. And so, but as far as my training now, when I did the 6-day race in Arizona, I hurt my IT band, and that was the first time I injured that. And so I do have a race coming up in Palm Springs. It's a 1,500 and a 3,000 meter. So we'll see how things go. But I have been doing a lot of rest and recovery, which I'm learning that rest and recovery is a part of training, because you do need to rest your body and work on your body in different ways. So I've been doing a lot of yoga and Pilates. Good. I also do a daily headstand. I'm on like 6 years of every day doing a headstand. And so that's, part of my who I am as an athlete. I kind of like that. And with the headstands is so funny because I do them everywhere, like at the airport.
You'll have to send me a picture.
I thought, well, you could see a lot of them on my.
Okay, I'll grab one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I do them in heels, dresses, trying to make it fun. And that's another thing that I like to say, ladies, have fun with your workout. And don't wait until you lose 5 or 6 pounds to get into that cute workout outfit. Wear it now. That's just my thing. Just feel good about yourself, because we are all beautiful. We're beautiful women. And what I started doing a couple of years ago is that I address every woman by pretty, gorgeous, hey, beautiful, hey, gorgeous, because it makes that person feel good. Oh, yeah, hi, hey. And then I get it back. because women, we're catty, and we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of mean, that mean girl, and it stays with you as you get older. And I don't like that. I really believe that we need to come together and support each other. And so this year I had started back before COVID hit. For the last couple of years, I do once a year inspiring people of whatever year it is. And so I, on my Facebook or some of my followers, if I saw that they did a half marathon or they lost 10 pounds or just feeling good about themselves, I acknowledged them as one of my inspiring people. And so when COVID hit, I didn't do it the last 2 years. But this year, this December, I started to do the Diva Award, deserving individuals, courageous women. And so I started that, and it's a little slow, but a couple of people were happy that I acknowledged, them with that. But I just feel that women our age just needs to support each other more. And just be there. And then also know that you are a beautiful person. And I find I'm married and everything, but I get a lot of men flirting and they're married. And so to handle that in a nice way, I would stroll on their Facebook page and I say, "Oh, you're married." So then I message back and I go, "Your wife is beautiful. Tell her she's beautiful." And that's exactly what they did. I didn't think it would really work, but leave me alone. And now and then this one man, he was just so infatuated with my marathons and stuff, but he was a biker. And then he was slightly, flirt. And so I strolled on his page and I said, "Your wife got beautiful curves. You might want to tell her that. Oh, and by the way, does she ride her bike? Why don't you get her one for her birthday?" They're bikers.
Yeah.
And so, but even just letting men know that, don't look at me. Go look at your wife. Yeah. She was beautiful when you married her. Why are you looking at me? Go tell her she's beautiful. Tell her. Bring her up. And like I said, it so far it's working. And that's why I like to tell women, if I in the mall and I see some lady with a cute little outfit on, and she may be like a little overweight or whatever, but I let her know, hey.
I do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. And boy, don't you love that smile they give you? Like,
yep.
Wow, And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, one of my biggest things is that I'm always about, finding a tribe or finding women who are like-minded, because I think there's so many benefits to that if you join a group, and it doesn't have to be sports related. It could be a book club, or it could be a hobby, knitting, or whatever you want. But as long as you're with these women who can empower you and be with you in good times and bad and hold you accountable, especially, being an athlete. And, if I'm prepping for a show and I'm supposed to work out 6 days a week, I've literally driven up to the gyms before and just looked at it and go, "I'm not feeling it," put the car in reverse and then just leave. But if I'm going to meet somebody at the gym, then it's like, okay, I can't let that person down. I need to go. So I just really think that, women who can train together, hang out together, have fun together, are going to be overall, happier overall in at whatever they're doing, but as well as home too.
I agree. Totally.
So do you still, do you do any weight training? Do you find that beneficial for your walking?
I just started a few months ago because I was in New York back in April doing a 6-day race, and my back went out on me on day 5. And there was quite a few people there that were giving me tips and stuff. And one of the gentlemen said, "You might want to try lifting weights." And I said, okay. And then I remembered when I was prepping for, the fitness competition, I said, you know what, I'm going to use that program, and I'm even going to eat healthy, use that program. And so that's been kind of working for me. So when I did Arizona's 6-day race, my back didn't bother me at all.
That's
It was a
awesome.
little tight. So it didn't go, and I was scared too, like, oh, please don't go out back, please. But I ended up with the IT band.
Oh, I know. Well, it's funny. I just had a bone density test done maybe a few months ago, back in December. Quick, easy, 10-minute, non-invasive. But it's amazing to me that my results due to all this weightlifting was my bones were comparable to a 30-year-old. There's two different scores, that compared to a 30-year-old, and then that compared to women your own age. And I was above average in both. And I just thought, well, it's weight training. And it's never too late to start lifting weights, because lifting weights is key to bone health, and bone health is key to longevity. People don't realize that. I made a little social media video saying that 46% of people over the age of 60 fall and they die. And they don't die from the fall, but they die due to complications because of the fall, because they're put into a hospital, they contract pneumonia, and they just are weak overall. I'm a flight attendant, and I have taken some really good spills over in Europe on a layover, just out with my crew, walking to a restaurant, and the sidewalks over there are crazy. They're cobblestone, they're uneven, and I'm just talking to my crew members, not really paying attention. And my shoe, the sidewalk would be, something like this, and my shoe would hit the end. And I did like 2 major face plants, just boom, straight down, right on my face. Thank God that I'm in good shape, because, one of the falls, I jumped right up and I'm like, I'm okay. The other one ripped my pants. I had, I was bleeding, but I was still okay. No broken bones. I was good. Whereas I think a normal person, I would have probably been taken to the hospital. But I just attribute that to, thank God, being, strong. And I can't say enough good things about weight training. I mean, people don't want to end up in walkers or wheelchairs or using a cane if they don't have to. Right. So, and just starting off small, even with 1 pound weights, 3 pound, 5 pound weights, and you can do little 5-minute workouts at home. And just like you said, start building up and using your mobility and stretching. It's little simple things that can make the biggest differences in a life, especially for people, over 50, over 60, for sure.
Yes, so true.
And so talk about your, you mentioned it briefly, but the extreme work for diabetes. I think you've dedicated like lots of races to this too, haven't you?
Yes. When my mom died, and she had a massive stroke and died, and it was due to the diabetes. And so about she died in September. So my son graduated in May, and he got his master's degree. He got double masters from 2 different universities at the same time, finishing up. And I picked up the phone to call her, and I thought, oh, shoot. That's right. She's passed away. And you could still know her number by heart. And so then at that moment, I said, you know what can I do to let people know that something as simple as walking could help control not only your diabetes, but all diseases. And so, before she died, the last time I saw her alive was 3 months prior to where she died. I did a race up in the Bay Area where she lived, and she was in the hospital because she had broken her ankle, but they were just measuring her for a boot. And after we were saying our goodbyes, and so when I got to the door, she said, Yolanda. And so I turned and I looked back at her, and she said, you can use me. And I didn't know what that meant. So fast forward to almost a year later when my son graduated. And so that's when it popped in my head. Well, what can you do, to help people with diabetes? And so then I remembered, she said I could use her. And so I came up with the Extreme Walk for Diabetes. I got in touch with the American Diabetes Association, and I walked from Corona, where I live, to Oakland to the diabetes office. Took me 10 days, 525 days, 525 miles to bring awareness about how simple that walking can help control not only your type 2 diabetes, but all diseases. So then the next year, I did it again, and I walked from Laguna Beach to the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. One of my sponsors was Fitbit, and so we did a big thing about, doing the steps, just walking to the kitchen, walking to your mailbox, adding more steps. And so the third year that I did the walk, I walked from Corona to Las Vegas in August in all that heat. And to make a statement. And that took me 7 days. My crew was my brother, all three of those races. And then the next year is when I started doing multiple day races. And then I started the extreme walk for diabetes. And so when I did the 3,100 in New York, that was 52 days of 60 miles a day for 52 days. And so what I did with the group is that when I was in New York doing 60 miles a day, you did a mile or more a day. And that the first year was really just awesome because a lot of people were either riding their bike, they were doing yoga, they were moving their body every day for 52 days. And they just couldn't believe that they could do this. Like, that's insane to walk every day, 1 mile every day for 52 days. And then when they realized, oh my God, that just a mile? Well, let me add 2 more miles to that. And so that's how Extreme Walk for Diabetes, the 52-day challenge, was added into. And I did that this was the last year that I did it. And so I told everybody, the challenge part is out, but the group is still there. And so, but that's my whole thing, is that I'm a walker. I'll never run. And walking is easy. I'm lazy. I don't want to run. So I walk. And walking, like I said earlier, it leads to whatever else physical you like to do. And I believe with the walking is how I did the fitness competition. I'm like you, like, oh my God, I'm too old, or who does that? But it was amazing. I'll send you a picture of that.
I would love to see that. And also too, it's great now too, because I am in this bodybuilding community, and all these women are in their mid 60s and even 70 now. And now they're getting the guts to train and get up on stage. And last year at one of the big national contests, it's called Masters Nationals. It's in Pittsburgh. And there was a brand new 60 plus bikini division. And there was 14 women in that category. 14. And I was like, this is amazing. This is unbelievable. Now, there were some women up there who should not have been up there, but literally from a standpoint of getting the guts to get up there in front of stage and trying to get into the best shape that they possibly could be, get in, that was amazing. I was like so proud of every single one of them, thinking, oh my God, this is just incredible. And so many 60 plus shows now have been added to all these amateur and pro shows now, because I'm very verbal about this. so it's great. And, women, especially in our age group now too, we can afford to, train. And if we need to hire a coach or, eat clean food, eat organic food, pay for these shows, pay for the swimsuits, because it's not a cheap sport for sure.
No, definitely. I had a coach, and I was lucky he was a nutritionist also. So I was able, but I had to get a posing coach, and she was a champion, and she was kind of shocked, not at my body, but my age. But then she saw that, I was really trying. And then when I posted, sent her the pictures, thank you, for your help. And she put it all on her sites, and saying, I helped her. And look at her age, she was in her 30s. And so, you're right. It was not cheap. And even with the marathons and stuff that I did too, my husband he teases me and says, if we ever divorce, I'm taking all the medals because I paid for those. You had the car, the kids, the house, you can have all that, but I'm taking those.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's awesome.
But you're right. At our age, we get to make good choices, and healthy choices. And I tell people I don't buy designer bags anymore. I spend my money now on races and traveling and,
right.
More on my health, more on me, and Denzel Washington, I posted about this a couple of days ago. Denzel Washington, he's a very good inspirational speaker also, besides actor. And so in one of his speeches, it really hit home. He says, you don't see a U-Haul truck following behind a hearse. Think about that. In other words, all that material stuff, you can't take that with you, but you can help other people. You can, take care of yourself, your health, because your health is your wealth, especially now at our age. This is all you have, basically. And if you don't take care of you, who will? And you won't be here to see your grandkids grow up or play ball with them or go places with them because you'd be pushing a walker or in a wheelchair. I
agree. I have a couple of great nephews, 3 and 1, and I have so much fun with them, running around, chasing them, and I think back when we were young and our aunts and uncles, and I never saw any of my aunts wear pants. Everybody always wore a dress. Nobody ever worked out. Nobody ever went walking. Nobody ever ate well. So it's just, and even being a child growing up on Spam and Salisbury steak and, Twinkies and those pink coconut snowballs and, stuff like that. It's just like, wow, it's really pretty incredible. And speaking of diet, so give us a look at your daily diet.
My daily diet, I'll just use yesterday and this morning. I do like oatmeal, and I actually kind of like the cream of wheat a little bit better. And but yeah, I do the oatmeal, and I put cranberries and raisins and a little bit of brown sugar, and then I've been kind of hooked on shrimp and broccoli right now, and then a little bit of brown rice. And then sometimes I'll even do the coconut rice, the jasmine coconut rice is really good. A little higher in calories, but I don't, I'm not training for a fitness competition. So therefore, if I crave something, I'm going to have it. I'm just not going to overdo it.
I'm the same way when I'm in my off season for sure.
But I do just kind of watch what I'm eating because I am still basically training for my races, and I don't like to feel sluggish. I did give up my red wine.
Ooh. I'm a certified wine specialist, so that's my hobby. So I've cut back dramatically. I can go weeks without drinking; it doesn't faze me at all anymore. But I'm looking around now. I'm just looking maybe at 50 bottles of wine, just hang at my 2 wine fridges, and I'm like, no.
Well, it's only been 2 months, and I'm not saying I'm totally quitting, but I did kind of just notice that it kind of was starting to make me feel a little like the next morning, 2 glasses the next morning. And then I kind of feel insecure or about anything, just kind of like, I don't like this feeling.
Right. Well, it's funny because when I first started bodybuilding, I was working at a wine shop and I was just drinking wine every day with customers and my boss or distributors. And so when I first was approached with this, you should try bodybuilding. And then they told me that, no alcohol. And I go, but I'm a certified wine specialist and I work at a wine shop. How's that going to work? So I literally shelved it and said, nope, I can't do this. And then 6 months later, one of my big things is I'm always trying to be so open and receptive to the universe because the universe is always out there. It always wants the best for you. It's presenting you with offers, but so many of us have that peripheral vision and those blinders on that we can't see. So I walked into the gym one day to train with my girlfriend who was a competitor and a coach, and she was working with a client, and the client says to me, "Oh, are you a competitor?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Oh, well, you should be." And then my friend Linda said, see, I told you. And then literally they talked me into doing a show in a month. And I thought, I can give up wine for a month. I can give up anything for a month. And all of a sudden I was like, wow. So I still really love and enjoy wine, but it's not in my daily practice anymore. Maybe one glass of wine a week, if that, if it's a Christmas or something too. But I can go weeks without drinking now. It doesn't faze me. But you're right though, because everybody who's so used to having that glass or two every night adds up to 3 or 4 bottles a week, which is all these empty calories. And then they can't figure out why they can't lose weight. So, it's just.
Yeah, the hips were starting to spread a little bit. And
yeah.
Okay.
No, I get it. And before I forget, I have done the last 2 years. Have you ever done the Huntsman World Senior Games?
Yeah, I did it last year.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
I was there last year too.
Okay.
And I just had the best time there. The St. George is so beautiful. The scenery is spectacular. The weather was awesome. I did it the year before where they had a snowstorm and that was kind of miserable. But we went to Zion, but it was good. I'm sure it's probably not up to your caliber. But I just thought it was.
No, for the race walking, because they have the race walking and they have I did the 1,500, the 3,000 meter and the 5K. And I placed first in 2 of them, and in the 5K, I got second place. Yeah, and I love their medals. Oh, their medals are gorgeous.
Yeah. So I mean, I just totally. It's a very well run meet, and I also got back in the Masters track and field, and I pole vault and throw the javelin and the discus now too. So,
good for you! Nice, nice.
So I'm just kind of looking to see what kind of events are, coming up that I want to participate in this year. But yeah, again, fun, meeting great people, people my age. And it's great. It's awesome. Is there anything before we close, 2 things that you want to say to my listeners to help if they're looking into getting into a fitness regimen, workout program, walking, any advice?
Yeah, my advice is just get started. Pick something that you like, your neighborhood, your community, wherever. Go to the gym, because you'll tend to meet new people that way. But as a walker, I highly recommend you start off walking and hit your neighborhood park, or go online and see if there's a walking group in your neighborhood.
Good idea.
Take it from there. And the second thing I like to say is just be you. There's nobody else like you. Just be you. And the reason why I say that is because it took me a long time to be me. And I love me. Love yourself. And know that you are beautiful and fabulous at any age.
That is so true. And if people wanted to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. It's Yolanda Holder on Instagram and Facebook. And I just got on TikTok. I'm learning I haven't made a video yet, but I take pictures and then I add the music to it.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to get hooked on trying to make videos and stuff yet. But, TikTok, and it's Yolanda Holder. Or you could just Google me, Facebook will come up, and Instagram.
That's awesome. Well, Yolanda, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we'll cross paths at a meet sometime.
Yes, and even in track and field.
Yeah, that would be so fun.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
I sure hope you enjoyed this interview with Yolanda. It's proof once again that you don't have to grow up as an athlete to become an athlete. I have interviewed so many women on my podcast who didn't even start their fitness journeys until they were in their 50s or 60s, and they all had that common denominator. They all had a sense of purpose. They knew that there was something so much more in this world for them to experience past the age of 50. I know sometimes I may sound like a broken record, but as we age, we have a tendency to allow our peripheral vision to become smaller and smaller to the point where we are basically just wearing blinders and we are oblivious to the outside world because we are so focused on continuing to monotonously do the same things over and over, day in and day out. Yolanda had a sense of purpose. She decided at 50 years old that she wanted to start walking. She wanted to do something that she enjoyed and that she would have fun doing. So many of us will start a new fitness journey and end up quitting because we hate it. How can you excel at something that you hate? You need to find your joy, figure out what makes you happy, and then run with it. The hardest part about starting anything new is just having the mindset to do it. Our brains are very protective of us, and when it comes to trying anything new, the brain is going to resist in the beginning because it's something that's not familiar to the brain or to the body. But with time comes familiarity and progress. Yolanda did not become a world champion overnight, but her perseverance, her drive, her passion, and especially her joy took her to incredible heights. As 2023 just begins, decide for yourself to step out of your comfort zone and try something new. It doesn't have to be athletic related. You could start a new hobby. You could learn a new language. You could volunteer at doing something that you love. You'll be amazed at once you start participating in things that you enjoy, your outlook will change. Share those gifts with the world. Don't shrink into the shadows. And you never know, you may just amaze yourself at what you are capable of once you've taken that first step. You can find Yolanda on Instagram and Facebook at Yolanda Holder, YOLANDAHOLDER. You can also Google her, and a plethora of articles will come up about her and all her amazing accomplishments. I can't wait to see her at one of my master's track and field events this year. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can find me at my website, ageisirrelevant.com. You can shoot me an email at helen@ageisirrelevant.com. This podcast is sponsored by my 6-week Macros Through Menopause course. It's a fitness and nutrition course personalized specifically for you, and you can find that information on my website. If you've enjoyed this podcast or any of my other podcasts, go over to iTunes and give me a 5-star review. That would be amazing. And as always, don't ever forget, age truly is irrelevant. And until next time, bye-bye.